To yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, all is now set for Handball League in Lagos. Coming in from the wall of tennis, top seeds advance at the Shanghai Open. In football, FC Barcelona legends announces retirement from the sport. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Stay with us. Edition of Sports Talk awaits you, and have with me this hour Mike. Nice to have you, Mike.
Good morning, and thanks for having me this morning on the show.
Let's start from the local scene, and this time in handball, where the Handball Federation of Nigeria has confirmed a new date and venue for the second phase of the Handball Premier League here in Nigeria for the year 2024. According to the Secretary of the General Secretary of the Federation, Lumbo, the second phase of the Handball Premier League gets underway on the 26th of November through December 9th in Lagos. This is interesting. Handball needs to be in action. The first phase will be done and dusted, but now we are set for a second phase of it.
Yes, I think for the reason of the little postponement in delays to ensure that adequate plans and preparation is properly put in place before they continue the second phase, according to the Secretary of the Federation. And for me, I think I'm very, very happy with the way handball is going. I think we are making some level of improvement where we are having a running league ongoing. I think for me, it is a nice idea, and that is a way to improve the game. You actually watched the first phase how you went. Most of the team were very, very active, taking part, making sure that some of them also gain the needed point to qualify for the second phase. And this time around, the second phase will be kicked off very soon. I think for me, I'm very, very happy with what the Handball Federation is doing.
First phase in Benin City now, second move over to Lagos, and we are getting interesting fixtures, but we remember in the first phase, Safety Babes and Tumarjeri Academy were all in excellent form.
Definitely. Toja Marine Academy and Safety Babe, they've proven over the years that indeed they're a force to be reckoned with. The last 2 years right now, I think they've been very, very consistent. They are the team to beat as it is, because each time, whether in the first or second phase, they always find a way to, gather the needed point and topple their group out there. So for me, I think they are the team to beat in this second phase.
Congratulations to the Federation for getting on schedule and after the first phase of the Premier League handball here in Nigeria. Let's go to basketball. And in basketball, this Nigeria Women's Basketball Premier League League Final 8 will definitely get underway as well in Lagos at the National Stadium to be specific. We know that First Bank led the Atlantic Conference qualifiers, and we were later joined by Mountain of Fire, Dolphins, and of course Bayelsa Wales, while the Nigerian Customs were leaders in the Savannah Conference. So, basketball as well, not getting any dull period.
Definitely, I think I'm most happy talking about the female basketball here. You know, it is one of the sport right here where we've seen consistent sponsor over the years. You know, they have been able to strike a deal with a certain bank out there that are very noted, and they'll be very, very consistent in terms of putting up a top-notch organization to ensure that we'll have a very, effective and a running basketball right here. You talked about some of the big-name teams out there that are doing very great. Don't forget that MFM, the defending champion, is also very, very active in this very one. You talk about the Savannah Conference as well. There are top teams that are also trying to see if they can be able to hold their own out there. So for me, I think I'm very, very glad with what we are seeing this season when you talk about the female handball. And Lagos, for me, seems to be the hubs of sport, and not just the economy alone, but sports as it is, because every major sporting activity is headed down to Lagos. And I implore other states as well to ensure that they develop their sporting infrastructure so that some of these competitive games can also be hosted in their state. When you talk about active sport, development and putting up the necessary infrastructures in place, you can't talk without mentioning the name of Lagos, Delta State, and Bayelsa. These are the three states that have been up and doing in terms of sport development right here in the country.
From tomorrow, the Basketball League Final 8 Championship gets underway in Lagos, and it is aimed at producing a top club side that will have been able to emerge as winner of the Basketball League, especially in the women category. We will also commend the contributions of sponsors, because without sponsors, this league will not get underway there. And besides that, the Basketball Federation themselves, led by Musa Kida, are really keeping up to schedule for the year.
True. When you have people who truly care for the sport, that is what you get, because they think outside the box. They think on how to improve the game itself, and by so doing, they are also working tirelessly to ensure that they have an effective plan to ensure that at least we'll have a successful basketball season out there. So for me, I think you want to give it to Engineer Musa Kida for his superlative job so far done, and all hands must be on deck. We must continue this great stride in terms of female basketball development. But like I said, Musa Kida needs to be commended for the tireless effort that he has been putting in so far since he came into office to ensure that there is a continuous development of female basketball right here in the country.
And talking about basketball reminds me that only a few days, just a few hours ago, we saw Ronnie and his father in a basketball match on the same side. Did you get to have a glimpse of that basketball match, Mike, where we saw Bruni and his father involved in an NBA action?
Yes, that
was historic.
True. I actually keep my tabs on that very game, because it was an epoch-making one, a historic feat for LeBron and Bronny, sharing the same court. Although Bronny did not start the game, he came in at 10 minutes before the game ended, but he was able to share the same court. A history-making one, because never in the history of the NBA where we've seen father and son sharing the same court. I think for me it was massive. And though the game ended 118 to 114 with LeBron putting up a massive show, but Bronny could not score any point either. But like LeBron James is more of the offensive player, and his son, talking about Bronny, is more of the defensive. But then it was an epoch-making one, like I said, and we hope to see them when the regular season kicked off just in NS 22nd of October coming, so that we can get to see the best of father and son sharing the same courts.
It's preseason in basketball NBA in the United States of America. How are the teams getting ready for the season proper?
Yeah, most of the team are up and doing, playing one friendly games or the other, just like the one we talked about. Phoenix Suns also having their friendly games over over the week, and other teams, the defending champion Bolton Celtic as well, they are also putting preparations on ground. Last 2 years, champion as well, talking about Denver Nuggets, they are not also relenting. Most of the top team are there preparing, getting ready, because we have a massive game that most of these teams will be playing this, about 88 games if I'm not mistaken, and it is a handful of games to be played in this season and NBA in the new format. So for me, I haven't watched some of the team preparations, so if I tell you, most of these teams are very ready and gearing to go.
We're talking about the basketball here, and we've seen some Nigerians in the mix as well. This of them are getting ready with their respective places.
Yeah, most of them are there. I just can't place my hand on the name of some of these Nigerians. There is a Nigerian playing for Phoenix Suns as well. There is another Nigerian also playing for Timberwolves. Yeah, Yoruba, decent are there. Most of them are also very ready. But last season some of them were not very regular for their different club side out there, and I hope to see them improving on their games this time around, so that they can be very regular, because being regular, it also adds to the value of Nigerian players out there, because some of them will be called up and they are going to bring their wealth of experience to the national team.
Very few more hours or days to the kickoff of the NBA season, and teams are ready, warming up in preseason games. Let's go to tennis now. In tennis, second seed Alexander Zverev scrapped through to the last 16 of the Shanghai Masters only yesterday. He won 2 tie breaks against Netherlands Talon. Alexander Zverev, every time, what do I say? He's been properly adopted now as the nearly man of tennis. In this one against Talon, he was able to get it 7-6, 7-6, and of course, straight win.
Not a convincing result for me. I actually followed that game at some point. I just switched off my TV set. Why? Because I didn't actually enjoy the game. It was a lackluster performance from Alexander Zverev. Against a relatively an unknown player. He's way ranked better than the player he came up against, but then he had to crawl back. He battled seriously to ensure that we did not see that upset. But then at the end of it all, he was able to push through. But I tell you, if this is what we are going to expect from Alexander Zverev in his next game, then I tell you, this may be the end of the road for him.
There was Novak Djokovic in action as well, and Novak Djokovic did win his third-round tie against Italian Flavio Cobolli, 6-1, 6-2. He did that in just about an hour. What do you make of Novak Djokovic? Can he really go past Jimmy Connors in the 109 titles in his career? We equally saw Roger Federer win 103 titles. This is title number 99 for Novak Djokovic. Can he make it 100?
Yeah, I think he's itching close to that. Let's see if we can be able to break that barrier and also meet up with some of the great out there. But I tell you, if there's anything to go by, taking a look at his form and his shape as well, I can say yes authoritatively that he has the chance to also equal that record or even surpass the 103 title won by his contemporary.
There is a season coming to an end. We're looking for the season masters where the Taylor Fritz, Grigor Dimitrov, Stefano Tsitsipas are all in action. We saw Tsitsipas beat Alexander Moulay to set up a 4-round meeting with Russian 5th seed Daniel Medvedev. Tafio, he's shown some class at the last Grand Slam in the US Open. Can he take it to the Shanghai Masters?
Well, I can't truly, cross my finger and say yes, because sometimes he's not consistent. Whenever you expect him to also up his ante, he just fell like a pack of cards. So I can't stick out my neck and say yes, that he's going to do that. But then we wait to see as the game progresses. Maybe he has what it takes, but he need to prove it on the court out there.
Just maybe we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. But let's see how the women are preparing as well towards the season-ending championship. Katy Butler is out of the Wuhan Open in China after a straight-set defeat by Ukrainian Lestia Turenko. The British number 1 was beaten 6-2, 7-5 in the very first round by world number 96. She should talk about Butler should do better.
Yes, I expected Butler to do better. Yesterday the game actually ended at around 3 p.m. Nigerian time. I actually followed the game, but it was a very disappointing one for Kati Butler. That mere success syndrome continued to haunt him. I think it was not an impressive display from Kati Butler, because I had expected Kati Butler to at least coast home a victory in that very one, but it wasn't meant to be, as his opponent had the better of him.
Paula Bodosa is in the storm, I must say. She pulled out of a tie, but she's been, do I say, bashed by the press for some kind of mock of Chinese people.
Yeah,
on social media.
Yeah, he has come under intense criticism because of racism stuff and all of that. Yeah, but then I think he came out to apologize for that yesterday. But then the stigma still remains out there, and the pain that he has caused to the people of Chinese, they are still enduring that pain as it is right now. I don't know whether most of them have forgiven him, but then I think it should also dawn on players to be very, very careful. They should be very circumspect on the word that they use out there, not to offend the sensibilities of other people.
Paula Bodosa, she is really, really under the fire. She had to pull out of the next match, citing gastrointestinal issues. Do you think she's really sick, or it had to do with the reaction she was expected to face from France?
For me, I'm just thinking it's a tactical ploy, to shy away or to remove herself away from the center of discussion right now, being the racism issue. So for me, I think she's not really suffering from any, diseases. I just think that she wants to avoid the backlash of the press and the criticism.
Gastrointestinal issues were cited for why Paula Bodosa had to pull out, but we think it's not unconnected with reactions she was expected to face from the Chinese fans, where she had mocked in a social media post. Meanwhile, we'll now go to the boxing, and in boxing, Anthony Joshua do not want do I say the euphoria around his defeat by Daniel Dubois to go. So he wants what looks now like an immediate rematch of the fight. Can the international boxing world heavyweight title fight be on showcase any moment soon between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois, both of them British boxers?
Just maybe, if Anthony Joshua's camp doled out the heavy amount of money, that could even lure Daniel Dubois to pick up the fight as it is, because according to Joshua's camp, he cannot wait until the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. I think he wants to do that as quick as possible, so that at least he stands a chance. That is, if he defeats Daniel Dubois this time around, he stands a chance of facing up with the winner of the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. But then it will boil down to the money bag. If Anthony Joshua's camp doled out the money that could be able to convince Daniel Dubois' camp, then it is a game for us.
Well, Daniel Dubois is waiting and maybe looking out for the pause. If the pause is very rich enough, he could just get back to the ring. But there is the very important matter of who gets to face Alexander Usyk. Will it be Tyson Fury next? And of course, that we'll understand will be in December. And thereafter, can Daniel Dubois have a chance to meet with the World Boxing Council heavyweight champion of the world?
Yes, of course. He's in a poor position as it is right now, having dismantled Anthony Joshua. In fact, he is the only man qualified, to pick up a challenge against, anybody that wins the rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. So for me, I think he stands a chance, and that is why Joshua understands this, metrics. That is why he don't want to delay. He wants to pick up a rematch against Daniel Dubois as quick as possible, so that he also stands a chance of facing up with the winner of the rematch between Usyk and Tyson Fury. So for me, I think Daniel Dubois, if he doesn't take up a rematch challenge against Joshua, he is the only man qualified as it is at this point in time, to wait for that very one. And we are hoping that maybe if he did not pick up the fight against Anthony Joshua, he's still that man that is standing tall out there to face either of the two, either Alexander Usyk or Tyson Fury.
Well, let's hope that Tyson Fury will get off with Alexander Usyk first, and thereafter, I'm sure Daniel Dubois could have a chance of facing with whoever comes strong in that one. But the lure is definitely on the Tyson Fury. And Alexander Usyk meeting Daniel Dubois. That belt is, of course, right now we have Usyk with the 2 other belts in the World Boxing Association heavyweight title, and of course the World Boxing Council heavyweight belt, of course, which is the most prestigious of all the heavyweight boxing type. But to our next all 3, is it possible, talking about the WBO, World Boxing Council, and the International Boxing Federation heavyweight title, do you see Usyk getting all 3 on the side after the rematch, after the match between him and Daniel Dubois?
Very, very possible for me. If you take a look at the man, the way he was able to, floor Tyson Fury, you want to say if they have a rematch, he still have the advantage. He still has the upper hand going by all odds. And permutation is also tilting towards his own favor. So I feel he has what it takes to also retain, or hold all these 3 belts in what we call the unification belt in this era. So for me, I believe the man has what it takes, to hold on to these 3 belts.
Of recent, we've seen Saudi Arabia as the hub of most sporting events, especially boxing. Do we see, because right now, after that massive crowd at Wembley between Joshua and Dubois, a lot of people are thinking, especially camp of Anthony Joshua, that the next bout should be in Saudi Arabia, where he's had some, let's say, better fortune in the past.
Yes, of course. The Saudis just a few months ago, where they came into the spotlight for sport development. Of course, you understand the reason. They want to use sport as a makeshift to also quench some of the bad sports, highlighted in their country, talking about the human abuse and all of that. And they want to use sport as a makeshift to also, put themselves on the world map for good. And they've been very active in terms of sport, not just boxing, Formula One, golf as well, football. You've seen their massive improvement. So I think the lure to take this bout, some of these big bouts to Saudi Arabia, is not unconnected with the Saudi, season, Riyadh season rather. The Riyadh season, some of these top boxers actually signed a contract with the Riyadh season, that when they have a big fight, they are going to take it down to the Saudi, because they want to use that as a makeshift, like I said, to develop, sport, and also get away from the bad spotlight of human rights abuses. So for me, I think this is the reason why Anthony Joshua is thinking, and his camp is thinking of taking the fight, to Saudi Arabia, because he actually has a contract with the Riyadh season.
Well, let's hope that this fight will see the light of the day. And as far as venue, for me, I really don't know why people really clamor about venue. What matters is the ring, and wherever the ring is situated, the boxers will have to fight. But Anthony Joshua wanting to have the feel of Saudi Arabia, where he has won in the past severally, could be maybe a factor why he could turn back. But I'm sure in the days ahead, promoters, and of course, depending on where the money is, they always will go there and of course get their returns. Test for us to take a break. We want to take a break now. When we return from the break, I can tell you that there's more exciting stories to come your way, especially from the world of football, where we see how the female teams are getting ready for the season. And of course, in the world of football, we've seen retirement of a star from FC Barcelona, from sports, from football. When we return from a break, we'll serve you with the details, many more to come your way. This weekend is an interesting weekend. The Super Eagles of Nigeria are expected to be in action at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. We hear that over 20 players have already arrived in their first training session in Uyo. We'll bring you update of what is happening in Uyo ahead of the match between Nigeria and Libya. Stay with us. Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. And we enter into the second phase of the program, bringing you some football stories. We first start on the local scene. Rattles are involved in a competition in Bayelsa State. Of course, you're aware of the female teams getting ready in the Bestie Obaseki preseason tournament. Bayelsa Queens beat them in the first game at the University of Benin Sports Complex.
Yes, I think it was not a good start for Niger Rattles. Bayelsa Queen showing their dominance, getting all 6 points from their first two games. In their first game, they actually hammered their opponents 6 goals to nothing.
Braveheart ladies, we've never had that name before.
Yes, in this Bestie Obaseki, women football pre-season tournament, it's not just Nigerian clubs. We also have other clubs coming in from other countries like Ghana. Yeah. Also being part and parcel of ISIL as well. ISIL FCA is from Ghana. So some of these names, when you get to hear it, you might be surprised. Is this Nigerian clubs? No, it is not only Nigerian female clubs that is taking part in this Bestie Obaseki pre-season tournament. Other West Coast teams as well is part and parcel of this very one.
Talking about teams from West Coast, Republic of Benin, Ghana taking part in the Bestie Obaseki football tournament ongoing in Benin City. We understand Conference Queens will be taking on Abia Angels later today.
Yes, and we hope to see Abia Angels, pick up all 3 points, because in their first game it wasn't an impressive outing for them, and they don't have numerous games to play, just few games, and if you get to lose one game, you definitely pay for it. It becomes very difficult for you to qualify from the preliminary stage, and I think they are going to do everything possible in today's class to get all 3 points.
But let's get to the Nigerian Professional Football League in the male category, and we understand the controversy has erupted following the Nigerian Premier League disclosure after match day 5 in the encounter between Kwara Stars and Remo Stars. We understand the head coach Daniel Gomudude had blamed Kwara United for poorly managing a near fatal incident involving defender Shahi Olaniyi. During the second half, you remember, Olaniyi suffered a concussion after heading a shot from a set piece. This led to the match being halted. An ambulance was brought onto the field. But according to a report, Coach Daniel Ogumudede physically restrained Olaniyi from returning to the game, stating in the post-match conference that, in his own opinion, the player should have been jailed for trying to commit suicide by returning to the play after suffering a concussion. Is this the position of the coach to determine the health status of a player, or it has to do with the doctors?
I think that has to do with the doctors. More like a replica of what he suffered, when he faced Enugu Rangers. You could also recall that Fidelis Ilechukwu also made the same assertion that he wouldn't want to be a friend to someone who doesn't value somebody's life just because they refuse to play the fair play issue when they meet with Enugu Rangers. It's more like the same thing this time around. Daniel Ogumudede is very furious of allowing the player to come back into the. I think it's not with ambit to determine when a player is fit or not. That is why each club have their medical teams. Maybe, just maybe, their medical teams have been able to assess the player and saw that he was in good condition, and that is why he came back into the pitch of play. But Daniel Ogumudede should also understand his own sentiment. He wanted them to play one man down so that he will have all the advantage. But I think for me, it is not his right to determine when a player is fit or not to come back into the pitch of play.
Sometimes we have match commissioners. What do they really do in the instance or times like this? You should be able to be in the control of this instance. But I really don't know. The coaches themselves should have to conduct themselves within their own decent limits. I just hope that this will be checked by the organizers of the Nigerian Football Federation, because this incident should be properly reported by the match commissioner and investigated as well, because the health status of a player, was there really concussion, who determines whether there was a concussion, and of course not ensuring that the lives of players are not risked in the course of the game for negligence.
Yes, I think the match commissioner should live up to expectation. This is where we expect them to be up and doing, tackle some of these, myriad of challenges here and there, so that we don't get to see or hear of this kind of incidents out there. Because I believe they had put that in their report, that would have augured well. And of course, this is the reason why we have match commissioners in every match venue, for them to also, be on ground to properly take an inventory of every happenings and match they are to also caution some of the key actors where need be. And when they get out of hand, then they are going to include that in their report outlet to the league board, and the necessary punishment will be meted to such a person. But I think the coaches as well and their technical crew need to also behave themselves professionally and conduct themselves on a match day. They don't allow emotion to override the rules of the game, because the health of players are very, very key. We understand, but then you must know where your own duty starts and where it stops.
Well, some reaction coming in from Benue State, where the NFL president was out there inspecting the Aparaku Stadium. He's saying that yes, there are depth of facilities here in Nigeria, but he believes that what he's seen in Benue State, Aparaku Stadium in Benue State is something cheering. Could there be an alternative to the Godswill Akpabio Stadium, the only stadium in Nigeria that has passed the most tests of a Grade 8A game?
For me, I think it's going to take a long while before we see another alternative away from the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium. You could also recall that some of the CAF inspection team came here some months ago to inspect the facilities and the stadiums rather on ground to actually, give their approval. It was only Godswill Akpabio International Stadium that met with the standard requirement for CAF, and that is why that is the only place where the Super Eagles play right now. And it's quite appalling and disturbing that over the years right now, it is only one stadium that is approved. And for me, I think it's quite disappointing. We used to have the UGS Swene Stadium in Calabar as the home ground for the Super Eagles. You could also recall the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja, how much was spent in that stadium. Even the maintenance fee as well by the business mogul, talking about Alhaji Aliko Dangote, a lot was spent there. But then you go to the Moshood Abiola Stadium today, it is nothing to write home about. Then you talk about the Surulere Stadium in Lagos, one of the home ground for Super Eagles in time past. And of course, course, you know the massive crowd at the Lagosian pool whenever the Super Eagles play. That should have been another proper place. Talk about the Kano Stadium. All this stadium, all are in comatose as it is, leaving only Gospel Akpabio as it is right now to be the only, home ground for Super Eagles. I think it's a cause for worry. I also, told the line of Ibrahim Gusau that state governors should also, do their own bidding to ensure that we have proper facilities in terms of football right here, going forward.
Well, let's now get talking about the Gospel Akpabio Stadium. Reminds me that we have 20 players already in the first training session ahead of the match against the Republic of Benin. You are aware that nearly 48 countries are in preparation towards qualifying for the 2025 African Cup of Nations coming up in Morocco. And Nigeria, I think, is in Group C, where they lead presently after 2 games. Match day 3 comes up this weekend, on Friday to be specific. They start the encounter with Benin Republic. Mike, 20 players in camp. Do you have hazard of some of the players are already in camp?
Yes, at Monday, about 2 players hit the camp. The likes of Mas of Basogi and followed by Stanley Nwabali. The second day being Tuesday, we had other 7 players arriving camp. The likes of Benjamin Tanimo, the likes of the captain who also arrived yesterday, William Truce Ekon, Lukman Ademola, Wilfred Ndidi, Taiwo Awoniyi. You mentioned Ola Aina, Victor Boniface, Frank Onyedika, Frank Onyeka. These are some of the players that have also hit the Super Eagles camp, and they are gearing to go. As at yesterday, we had about 20 players in camp who took part in the 5 p.m. Training yesterday evening. As at this morning, maybe other players is going to also hit the camp this morning, so that we'll have a complement of the squad to train with this morning and the evening as well.
Talking about 20 players in camp for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Among the 20 players that have already arrived in camp is Ademola Lukman. We have Alex Iwobi already in camp. We also have Olaino Taiwo Awoniyi is already in camp with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Most of the star players are in camp, like we mentioned. There will be no Victor Osimhen, and because of that, they have invited Kelechi Iheanacho that is yet to arrive in camp. There is Osayi Samuel has not arrived in camp as well. These are just about the few players who are yet to arrive in camp. There are supposed to be 23 players in camp. Only 3 are yet to arrive. We expect that they will arrive any moment soon. Kelechi Iheanacho always arriving late to the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They call him the senior man, and he acts like that most time. I was in New York last time, but for me, it doesn't seem to hit the kind of form we expect of him. He's moved from England to Spain.
Yes, for me, I think we've not seen, the best of Kelechi Iheanacho since he left to Sevilla of Spain. You saw his compatriot talking about Chidera Ijuke, who also already is in camp as well, how he was able to pick his form after that transfer from Moscow of Russia down to Sevilla. He's been very, very good. In fact,
the Fenerbahce striker, he's yet to arrive camp. Chidera is yet to arrive himself. Samuel and Kelechi Iheanacho, they're the only 3 players as late last night yet to be in the Super Eagles camp.
Samuel Chukwueze is already in Super Eagles.
Samuel is in camp?
Yeah, Samuel Chukwueze.
Chidera is not in camp.
Yes, Chidera Ijuke is not in camp. I don't know, and that is the reason maybe senior man talking about Kelechi Iheanacho is not in camp. Although we heard yesterday from a man reporting live from Gospel Akpabio International Stadium that due to some flight delay, some of the players could not arrive camp yesterday. In fact, all the 20 players, they were even supposed to arrive camp, all of them, on Tuesday, if not for the flight delay. I don't know whether that has been the issue that is keeping Chidera Ijuke and Kelechi Iheanacho back, but then we expect them to hit camp this morning.
Well, we expect the 3 more players are expected in the Super Eagles camp, and then also the government will have a complement of all the players that he has so far invited to the Super Eagles camp. The Libyans are not known to be very formidable on the continent, but in modern day football, there's no small team, so to say.
Yeah, just like the normal cliche, there are no minnows in football any longer, but you should expect the Super Eagles to get this one done and dusted. Even the coach of the Libyan side, made it very clear yesterday that their only aim is to come, maybe, just maybe, he wasn't even sure, just to come and maybe try to see if they can salvage a point right here, which he acknowledged that is going to be a very difficult task for them against the three-time champion. He say that they hope to get a point, but then he knows that it's going to be a very difficult one coming up against the Super Eagles. The interim coach of the Super Eagles, Austin Eguavon, as well, speaking yesterday in a press conference, said that the boys are ready and they truly understand what it means at this point in time. They are going to do everything possible to, get all 3 points. So for me, I take a look at the form of the Mediterranean Knights of Libya as it is right now. They are not in a good form. So I expect the Super Eagles, to wallop them home and away.
Super Eagles of Nigeria expected to beat Libya in a double header. Let's hope that that will be the case. But first, it has to be on Friday at the Gospel Aquarium Stadium, where these two teams will meet in Group C. So far, the Super Eagles are leading in that game, and group, after winning 2 games, they have maximum points, closely followed by the Republic of Benin. Let's now go to Europe and see what's happening in the world of football in Europe. The biggest news in Europe right now is the retirement of Iniesta from football. Iniesta, of course, is known to be a Barcelona legend. He's played over several games for the team, and in fact, for FC Barcelona, he's lived there. Copa del Rey about 6 times, and not to talk about the league title itself, the La Liga league title. By all standards, in Spain and in FC Barcelona, Iniesta is a legend of world football.
True, I totally want to agree with you. At 40 years, he's calling a shot at the international level. I think he has achieved everything needed to be achieved in the world of football. Mercurial midfielder with the magical feet, has played one of the best midfielders in the world. In fact, you can't forget the midfield pair of Andres Iniesta, Xavi Hernandez and Busquets, for Barcelona and the Spanish national team. In fact,
he played 131 times for Spain. That's quite a number. 131 times for the Spanish national team.
Winning so many major laurels are the European champion in 2008 and 2012. Don't also forget that he scored the only goal in the South African 2010 World Cup that actually gifted Spain the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa. So I think he's a legend. You can't also forget his exploit in the Champions League as well, having won 4 Champions League, 9 La Liga titles, and of course one of the highlights in the Champions League was that semi-final late goal against Chelsea at the Stamford Bridge, which actually gifted them the ticket to head to the final against Manchester United. So for me, I think he's truly a legend of the game.
Talking about Manchester United reminds me that the board of the team, Manchester United of England, were in a meeting last night. A lot of people thought that it will be the end of Erik ten Hag, but results, decisions from that meeting doesn't seem to have confirmed that. Do you have snippets of what transpired in the meeting of the board of Manchester United, especially as it concerns the fate of Erik ten Hag, the coach of the team?
Yeah, there was no major, decision reached out there. If there is any, then it is not, open to the media out there. I listened to Savi Habakuk, a reporter with the Sky Sport, also, making his opinion about the secrecy of the meeting out there. As it is, they have not made any major decision concerning the future of Erik ten Hag, who is away on holiday. But then I tell you, there seems to be something cooking between Manchester United owners, and maybe, just maybe, they don't want to break that bad news as it is right now. But I tell you, it is not going very well for Erik ten Hag, and maybe if they get to reach an agreement with any coach in secrecy, then they can come up with any decision. But as of now, there was no concrete decision made in their meeting last night.
But do you really think that Erik ten Hag's feature in the last 2 years with Manchester United has been such that will call for his sack?
Yes and no for me. Yes, in the sense that if you take a look at Manchester United right now, they have no identity. Manchester United, where they play, you are not enjoying the game. There is no free flow, there is no connection, there is no synergy. Right from their defense line to the midfield, down to the attack, down to the wingers. Erik ten Hag seems not to have gotten the best out of the cross of player. And in fact, he has gotten all the players that he has required or that he needed. And yet, none of these players is performing. Some of the players that he has brought in under his reign, none. He has spent a total of £616 million on 20 players, since he came on board for Manchester United. Yet, we haven't seen the best of these players. Yes, in the sense that we say, yeah, he has won 2 trophies in 2.5 years since he came to Manchester United, which is very, very good. No, but then the pattern of play, the philosophy of a team is not recognizable right now for Manchester United. That is why I said yes and no. He has done well, and he has not also done well as well. Taking a look at this season, they have had their worst start in the history of the Premier League under Manchester United, playing 7 games, just having few points to show for it. I think for me, quite disappointing. So for me, I think Erik ten Hag has not been able to, hit that standard where so many people expected. Looking at what he was doing with Ajax, the pattern of play and the results he's been getting, it is contrast to what we see at Manchester United now.
It seems to have been given a free hand by the board. He's had to, most of the players requested for had been, signed. You think it's purely that of the technical director in conjunction with the coach's fault, and so maybe any decision taken by the board could be justified that he's been given a free hand. He spent nearly more than £500 million in trying to acquire players, and results are not coming the way. Manchester United in the last few years have now almost looked like an average team in the Premiership in England, despite the winning the 2 non-league titles.
Yes, for me, I think the board would be justified if they let him go right now. Why? Because he has gotten all the players he needed. If he asks for any player, especially coming in from the Ajax side, there's players that he has worked with under him while he was at Ajax. The likes of Andre Onana, the likes of Anthony, to mention but a few. But then he has gotten the needed players he demanded or requested for, yet he's not getting a convincing result. Manchester United, as it is right now under Erik ten Hag, looks like a ragtag team. And for the standard of Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs, not just in England but across Europe, having no identity, playing a disjointed kind of football, not inspiring. I think for me, the board will be justified if they let go of Erik ten Hag.
Manchester United in their worst ever start in their history of the Premier League. We've never seen Manchester United place 14th at this stage of the league in the past. In all of their history, this is their worst ever start. Like I mentioned, 14th place as we speak. They've played 7 games and won only 2 out of the 7 played this season. So I think a lot is expected from the board. Like we said, the meeting last night, there's been no heavy pronouncement yet, but we'll see in the days ahead before the international break is over whether there could be more decisions coming from Old Trafford, where we have Manchester United. It's really, really sad. Like I said, worst ever start, 2 wins out of 7, 14th place as the team goes into the international break. We hope they will bounce back any moment soon. And that will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. Definitely will be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sport Extraordinary. Then we'll see whether we'll have some more information coming in from Old Trafford. And of course, latest around the match day 3 of the African Cup of Nations qualifier for Morocco 2025. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.